Hi, everybody. Welcome to our broadcast today. Today, we're going to talk about Sky High Cannabis Funding. I want to thank everybody for being here today. My name is Steve Weibel. I'm the Director of Business Development here at Credit Suite, and you and I are going to learn a lot together. Ty Crandall normally would be doing this. Unfortunately, he was unavailable today. He asked me to fill in, so we're going to learn a lot together. Let's dive right in. Like I said, Ty Crandall normally would be doing this, and Ty, as you guys all know, is the author of Business Credit Decoded, and he's the CEO here at Credit Suite. If you ever have any questions, need any more information, you're certainly welcome to reach out to us at info@creditsuite.com. That's info@creditsuite.com, or you can reach out to us at 877-600-2487. So today, we're going to learn about how to get funding for the cannabis industry. We're going to find out about 4 trustworthy, proven lenders which welcome cannabis-based businesses and will loan you money. Just why the rapid changes in the legal status of cannabis can make it hard to get financing. And we're going to find out how the SIC and the NAICS seem to differentiate between medical marijuana and the sales of recreational cannabis, but also how the evolution in the laws means the SIC and the NAICS codes still don't seem to be settled for the cannabis industry. They're kind of confused on where they're going, so we think there's going to be a big change here. And the reasons, beyond marijuana being a controlled substance, for the cannabis industry to be seen as a high-risk industry. And those of you who follow us know that high-risk industry is very difficult to get funding. We're going to find out where you can turn to get cash for your marijuana business, and how unsecured business financing can be literally the best place to get the funding you need, including details and qualifications, how much you can get, and more. We're going to give you the names of 4 rock-solid lenders with programs welcoming entrepreneurs in the cannabis industry, as we said in the beginning, and we're going to include details on their requirements, the terms, the rates, and more. We're also going to find out where peer-to-peer lending fits in this whole thing, and how you can get funding through that type of platform. And then just how equipment leasing and real estate lending, of all things, can be ways to get funding for your marijuana business. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay, so recreational marijuana legality. As you're all aware, I'm sure, recently cannabis has become legal in several states, and the numbers certainly going to be expected to grow. As a matter of fact, I kind of feel like this is going to become a national referendum at some point. I'm in my 50s. They've been talking about this since I was in my late teens and early 20s. So certainly it's no surprise that this is happening, but it's moving pretty rapid. In 2012, Colorado and Washington approved adult use recreational marijuana measures. In other words, not medicinal, but just recreational. Again, Colorado and Washington approved that in 2012. In 2014, Alaska, Oregon, DC did exactly the same thing. So now you can be in Colorado and Washington State, Alaska, Oregon, and DC and buy marijuana recreationally, and it's not illegal. In 2016, California, Maine, although they haven't approved retail sales, or they did just approve them until in 2018. Massachusetts, Nevada did the same thing. Arizona voted no. I suspect that will probably change in the near future. In 2018, Michigan and Vermont, via the legislative process rather than a ballot initiative like the others. What I mean by ballot initiative is the voters voted on it, as opposed to in Michigan and Vermont, where the legislation actually passed the law. Did the same thing. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, or 10 states, and obviously DC is not a state, that have legalized marijuana. That's 20% of the country have legalized recreational use marijuana. So obviously this is going to be a booming business. So if you want to check this out, you can just go to the link that we show up here, ncsl.org, research civil and criminal justice, marijuana overview.aspx. So let's talk about recreational marijuana legality. In 2018, the following additional states considered ballot initiatives. And when I say ballot initiatives, that means that they're going to allow the voters to decide if they want recreational marijuana to be legal in their state. Connecticut, Delaware, Georgia, and Hawaii. That's 4 more. In addition, you have Kansas, Kentucky, Maryland, Mississippi, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina. Now look at this. This is just building up. Now think about all the business opportunities here. Wisconsin and West Virginia. So there's another 8, 12, 16, 18. So that's literally double the number of, or actually over double the number of states that are expected to approve the recreational marijuana use. So, in 2018, the following states voted on measures which can propose a constitutional initiative or other voter approval for adult legal use of marijuana, but none of these measures actually passed. So these are states that actually did get it on the ballot, but they just didn't pass. Those three. Now, study bills were filed in these states. In other words, what they mean by study bills, bills that were studying what would happen with the usage of recreational marijuana. Now think about that. There's three, there's six more. Oh, they passed in those three states. So these measures were enacted to establish commissions to study legalization. In other words, what would happen? How would it affect criminality? Would it affect job loss? Would it affect, would there be higher DUIs? All the things that were necessary for the legislation to make a decision as to whether or not to pass the legalization of marijuana. And obviously they're looking at regulation and taxation of marijuana, and that's a big deal. In 2018, repeal bills were voted on in Washington and Massachusetts. Massachusetts repeal bill is still pending. Washington did not pass, which we did not expect. Now, in 96, California was the first state to legalize the use of cannabis for medicinal purposes. I bet you guys didn't know this was going to be a history lesson. Since then, there have been 33 states plus Guam, Puerto Rico, and DC have all approved comprehensive public medical marijuana cannabis programs. So 33 states plus those three areas, Guam, Puerto Rico, and DC, have approved medical marijuana as opposed to recreational marijuana. So you have 33 states where marijuana can be sold medicinally, and then an additional, it looks like 20 to 30 states will have it approved for recreation. That's a big market. And obviously with a big market, big opportunities. With big opportunities, people want to jump into this business, and certainly one of the things they're going to need is to figure out how to get financing for that. So in another 13 states, the government allowed the use of low THC, high CBD oil, basically, I don't want to say it, products for medical reasons in limited situations or as a legal defense. Those states are Alabama, Georgia, Indiana, Iowa, Kentucky, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Virginia, Wisconsin, Wyoming. So there's another 11, 12, 13, 14 that are allowing CBD oil. Now, it's still illegal in some places. You have to be very careful. 3 states do not allow the use of cannabis under any circumstances. It's going to be Idaho, Nebraska, and the first offense only is decriminalized. In other words, in Nebraska, if you're caught your first offense, no problem. Second offense, it's criminalized. And then the third state would be South Dakota. So they're the only 3 states in the entire country that don't allow some form of cannabis use, whether recreational and or medicinal. So that leaves 48 states plus DC as opportunities to have a business to sell marijuana in some form or fashion. Here's the problem. Cannabis is considered a high-risk industry. Now, we're going to dive into why it's considered a high-risk industry, but rest assured, it is considered a high-risk industry. This may be due to it being medicinal in many states, so pharmaceuticals will be considered high risk, and it's also due to continually evolving laws. So because the banking industry is national, state laws, although it may be decriminalized in your state, maybe the banks don't recognize that because they're headquarters in a state where it is against the law. And the difference would be, how would you differentiate between those 3 or between those 2? Plus, it's still a controlled substance in many states, like we said. Industries could also be designated as high risk if their business deal with a lot of cash transactions. You can imagine in this industry, there are a ton of cash transactions. Cash transactions are considered high risk for a few reasons. One of them being it's really easy to launder money. So, for example, if you're in the gambling business, that's considered a high-risk industry. Now, there's lots of other high-risk industries, but these are severely high-risk. These are automatic denial industries. So, let's talk about the SIC and NAICS codes that the cannabis industry possibly have, because they still haven't quite nailed it down. According to Hoover's, the marijuana industry is coded as follows. SIC code 5999, so if you're registering your business, that might be the SIC code you'd pick, or NAICS code 453998. Now, the NAICS keeps this code on its high-risk list. You have to keep that in mind. When going for funding, you're going to be pegged as high risk immediately. Now, SICcode.com disagrees a little bit. They say cannabis industry should be coded this way. SIC code 5912 and NAICS code 446110 The NAICS keeps this code, again, on its high-risk industry. But these codes seem to be for medical marijuana sales, not necessarily non-medical sales. And that's where we're running into issues. There's a link, governing.com, gov.data, safety, justice, state marijuana laws, map, medical, recreational. So you can check out where it's medical, where you have medical marijuana approval and recreational approval. So the question is, does the SIC call marijuana sales medical or not high risk? The industry is so new, the SIC literally doesn't know what to do, so they haven't really weighed in on it yet. Everyone's kind of waiting around to see what happens when the SIC code weighs in. So keep in mind, conventional banks are not a good place to look for loans for high-risk industries. So if you're in this industry or you're thinking about getting in the industry, you're going to be pegged as high risk immediately. It doesn't matter whether you're in recreational or medicinal, you will be considered high risk. Over 89% of business applications are denied by the big banks normally. So high-risk industries are subject to even stricter underwriting guidelines, which means you can't get any money from traditional lenders. There's just no way they're going to lend you money from, again, a traditional bank. For restricted industries, the decline is literally automatic. You're going to make an application, you're going to put in that particular SIC code or NAICS code, you're going to get an automatic denial. They're not going to review, they're not going to send it into underwriting, it's an automatic denial. So you have to keep that in mind when thinking about getting into this business. However, there are a lot of loans businesses in high-risk industries can get. And when we talk about high-risk industries, we actually have a list through our program that shows high-risk industries. High risk doesn't mean you won't be able to get a loan. It just means that traditionally the larger banks, the big banks, will turn you down. But there is plenty of secondary market money out there for high-risk industries. They're usually not coming from banks. You can get access 25, 50,000, even over 100,000 in initial funding. I'm talking about initial funding. You're just starting your business. There are lenders who will give you over $100,000 in initial funding, even in a high-risk industry. Peer-to-peer lending is another viable option. In peer-to-peer lending, you'll apply and your peers are funding your business. So is unsecured business financing. Unsecured business financing is a program that we here at Credit Suite also have, where you can get up to $150,000 in unsecured financing, typically at 0% interest from 6 to 18 months, even as long as 24 months, and it's revolving. So as you pay it back, it's available to you again. So that's something that certainly works really well in the cannabis industry. Let's talk about unsecured business financing. With UBF, you work with financiers specialized in unsecured credit lines. Very rare. It's very little known about the program that few lending sources offer. Unfortunately, we do. You can get 5 to 8 times your current high limit credit card. Here's what I mean by that. If you have a credit card in your name that's $20,000, you can typically get, this says 5 to 8 times. I've seen 3 to 8 times. They're going to look at your particular situation, your current income, and by the way, it is stated income, and they're going to get you an approval based on that. The individual approvals, and I'm talking about individuals, if you weren't a business applying, run from 2 to 50,000. Actually, I've seen them as high as 175,000. Unsecured business financing is 0% financing, like I said, for 6 to 18 months. Reports to the business credit reporting agencies in most cases, and multiple lines create help to get limit increases and more trade lines. Here's what I mean by that. You get approved for five lines at 20,000 each, and you use it for 6 months. You should immediately go back and ask for an increase. If you've paid it well, you've paid it off every month, however you're paying it, if you've been handling that credit the right way, they will every time increase your limit very quickly. And unlike personal credit, business credit lines will get increased significantly faster and significantly larger. So unsecured business financing is a great way. Even if you only get the 50 to 100,000 to start, it doesn't mean you won't have 100 to 200,000 within 6 months to a year. Something to keep in mind. And again, keep in mind this is revolving, so something that you hang on to. It doesn't go away. When you pay it back, it's not gone. You have access to it again. Again, you can get approvals up to 150,000. I've actually seen up to 175, but typically 150 is the max we'll see. The average that I see is between 50 and 100. Now, It is based on your FICO score, and you're going to need a 680 FICO score. And here's what I mean by that. All of your credit scores, all three reports should show a 680 or higher. So typically that means around a 700. But the good news is guarantors are welcome. So if I wanted to start a business and my credit score was only 620 and I had an opportunity to go into the medical marijuana business and or the recreational marijuana business, and I needed 100,000, my credit score, let's say, wasn't good enough. However, a friend or a family member had 700 plus. They believed in my dream. They believed in me. They loved my business plan. They are more than welcome to personally guarantee that, and the business can still get the funding. So they'll guarantee it, but it still goes in the business name. You're going to need 30% or less utilization on your current credit cards or whoever the guarantor is. And you need to have 6 inquiries or fewer in the last 6 months. So don't be out looking for credit, having your credit pulled constantly, and then come down this road. You want to take a look. Remember, you can go to Identity IQ or Identity IQ, or Experian also has a way to check your credit report and just see how many inquiries on there in the last 6 months. Sorry about that, technical difficulties. Commercial mortgage consultants. This is one of our vendors we're going to talk about today that will fund medical marijuana and or recreational marijuana industries. There's a high-risk program they have specifically for that. You can go to commercialmtgbankers.com. We're going to give you their underwriting criteria here in a second. Again, Commercial Mortgage Consultants, Inc., high-risk program for medical and recreational marijuana companies, commercialmtgbankers.com. Here's the requirements that they're looking for. You need a license to operate. So in other words, if you've opened your medical marijuana business, obviously you need to have a license to operate, and that's in all states. There's no state that I know of where you can be in the cannabis industry and not have a license from the state to operate. You need a business bank account with at least $10,000 in monthly deposits. So in other words, your business is open, you're doing at least $10,000 in monthly deposits, and you have your license to operate. You cannot go negative in your bank account more than 5 times in a month. So what they're saying is, if your bank is overdrawn $50, $100, even $1,000, that's okay as long as it doesn't happen more than 5 times in a particular month. There's other parameters underwriting considers, including, but are not limited to, credit and cash flow. So they're also going to look at your personal credit and they're going to look at your cash flow. If you're putting $10,000 a month in monthly deposits and your overhead is $20,000, that's very difficult. That's real low cash flow. They want to see that you're going to have the funds to pay this loan back. But the good news is they have this program specifically for medical and recreational marijuana companies. Again, Commercial Mortgage Bankers, or Mortgage Consultants, excuse me, Incorporated. You want to go to commercialmtgbankers.com. I'll leave that up there a second so anybody wants to write it down or copy it down. commercialmtgbankers.com. Now keep in mind, don't miss what it says here. You need a business bank account, not your personal bank account, a business bank account. Okay, they're also going to look at location, time, and business. So they want to make sure you're in an area that makes sense, not a high risk, and they also want to make sure that you've been in business a decent amount of time. And they didn't really give us a minimum, but they just want to make sure you're not a startup and you're closing tomorrow. All right. Usually they fund to 25% of your average gross deposits to start. So if you're doing that $10,000, typically they'll give you a $2,500 loan, which doesn't seem like a lot. However, the good news is, as you build your relationship, they'll increase it. So as the relationship with your client grows, they will keep continuing to increase your credit line. So remember, 25% of your average gross deposits to start, and then they'll increase as your business increases. They funded a medical marijuana company $150,000 over 4 months in 2018. CMC is in Colorado and has been in business for 3 years. All right, so let's talk about GoGo Capital. GoGo Capital is a commercial loan broker. And those of you who have been following us have heard this particular company in the past. They do private loans. Rates are from between 8 and 25%. And they'll give you 1 to 3 year terms. So GoGo Capital, they're a commercial loan broker, private loans, 8 to 25%, 1 to 3 year terms. They'll fund you in 7 to 14 days. So very quick funding. They also do real estate loans. Now that's a private loan. They'll also do real estate loans, 8 to 20%, 1 to 5 year terms, and funding in 30 to 60 days. So let's lay this down as an example. You have a building, you're going to be opening your medical marijuana business in this building. You own this building, or someone in your family owns the building, or someone, your partner owns this building. Instead of borrowing money for the medical marijuana business, you could borrow money against the property with a 1 to 5 year term. They'll fund you in 30 to 60 days. It's between 8 and 20%. It's a great way to get startup capital. Now, they'll also do equipment leasing. Same thing, rates are between 8 and 20%. They'll give you 1 to 7 year terms, so the terms are a little bit longer. They'll fund you in 5 to 14 days. When I say equipment leasing, if you have any type of high-end equipment, they'll buy or release that equipment back to you. They'll also give you cash advances. Factor rates are 1.3 to 1.49, so it's basically cash flow financing. They'll give you 4 to 12-month terms. They will renew these, so you can borrow the money and then renew it after your term is up. They'll fund you in 1 to 2 days. This is probably the easiest funding there is. It's strictly based on cash flow. You can go to gudcapital.com/cannabis-business-loans-dispensary-financing-marijuana-industry-investment. And I will absolutely leave that up on the screen if you want to write that down. gudcapital.com. And you may just want to go to gudcapital.com and you can search from there. Again, gudcapital.com. gudcapital.com. All right. Let's move on. Okay, Diamond Business Loans. This is the third of our 4 vendors that we're going to talk about. Diamond Business Loans is a direct lender. So where we were talking about brokers part of this, these are direct lenders, and they offer a couple of things that would absolutely work for you. One is obviously an unsecured line of credit, and they'll give you term loans. They'll give you equipment leasing and financing. So that's 3 different loans they're offering, again, as a direct lender. They serve established and startup cannabis businesses. So if you're established, no problem. If you're startup, which is where most people run into an issue, this is the company you want to reach out to, Diamond Business Loans. Now, let's talk about what they'll give you. They'll give you loans from 25 to 150,000. These are cash loans or lines of credit. They'll give you a 1-year term at 5.9% plus, so it depends on your credit. They'll give you a 5-year term at 19.99% plus. So obviously, the longer the term, the higher interest rate. If you're in that industry and you're expecting to have high cash flow, in other words, you're expecting to hit the ground running, you might just want the 1-year term. Get off the ground, pay the loan back quickly, and let the business fund itself after that, or find another vehicle that you can use to finance it. When I mean another vehicle, you might want to get a longer term loan. You might want to get cash flow finance. You might want to get unsecured business financing. So this is a great loan for a startup. And the startup knows, based on their business plan and their research, their market research, that the cash flow is going to be very high. They'll also give you lines of credit 0 to 9.99%. That's tremendous. A line of credit 0 to 9.9. You pay as you draw. Now, Diamond, their requirements are going to be no collateral. How cool is that, right? No time in business requirement. Gets even cooler. 680 plus FICO. So again, a 680 FICO, and what they mean by that is you're going to have a FICO score of over 680. So you're looking for around 700. No late payments or bankruptcies. You want to go to diamondbl.com. I'll keep that up for a second. It's Diamond, DIAMON, D as in David, BL.com. That's Diamond Business Loans. Again, no collateral, no time and business requirement, 680 FICO, no late payments or bankruptcies. If you're a startup, this is a great way to go. This is one of 2 really outstanding ways to go. I still love the unsecured business financing because it's revolving. And the criteria to get the UBF is a little easier than here, but this is certainly a great option for you if you're a startup business. Okay, Go Capital, the 4th of our 4 that we're going to talk about. This is a marketplace to connect borrowers with lenders. This is peer-to-peer lending. This is one of the things we talked about in the beginning. They're also a direct lender, so you're going to be borrowing directly from Go Capital. And they also combine 2 types of funding. So in other words, you can go to Go Capital and they'll fund you and use 2 different vehicles to get you the funding. They serve industries like medical, cannabis. Oh, thought there was another piece to that, guys. Oh, there you go. They'll give you business cash advances. They'll give you merchant cash advances, and they'll give you between $10,000 and $5 million. So certainly that's a big window depending on the size of your business. I would look at them as a startup as well, no problem. Or if you've been in business a while and just looking to advance or to expand, certainly GoGo Capital is somebody you're going to want to look at. Here's the good news: 24-hour turnaround. You apply for them, they approve you, 24-hour turnaround. Here's what they're going to require from you. They're going to require $10,000 in average monthly revenue, so that means you need to be an established business. You have to have a business bank account, not a personal bank account. You're going to need 4+ months of business bank account statements and fewer than 7 days with a negative balance per month. So this is the primary criteria that GoGo Capital is going to want to look at before they decide to fund you. And you can go to GoGo Capital, that's GoCapital.com/business-loans-landing. I'll leave that up for a second for you again. Now, keep in mind, if you have any questions on this or you need a little more information, you can always go to creditsuite.com/get funding. We have not only access to all of this, but even more of other options that may work for you in your cannabis business. Again, creditsuite.com/get funding. Or if you have any questions, just go to info@creditsuite.com, shoot an email, and somebody will reply back to you. Anyone from our finance team or one of our business credit analysts or advisors, we'd be happy to get that information out to you. All right, so let's recap. And this was a really quick one. Typically, these last an hour, but I was learning right along with you guys. So it's not easy to get funding for the high-risk cannabis industry. We know that. Obviously, it's a high-risk industry. It doesn't mean it's impossible. It doesn't mean you should give up. If this is the dream and you have a great business plan and this is exactly what you want to do, certainly opportunities are sky high. Had I thought about it, maybe that's something I would have gotten into. It's not going to be easy to get funding, but it doesn't mean you can't get the funding. Traditional bank stores are literally closed to you. So I don't care how much money you're putting through your bank at, let's say, one of the big ones, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, they're still not going to look at you as a viable lending opportunity. Unsecured business financing will work perfectly for you. That's the UBF program that we talked about, where you need a 680 credit score. They don't verify your income. You can get someone to co-sign for you, and these are revolving lines of credit. In other words, as you pay it off, it's still available to you, and they'll even increase those credit lines as time goes on, and you just request increases. Remember, that's the 680 credit score or higher. Peer-to-peer lending obviously works as well. You got to do some creative searching to find lenders for your business. So even though we're doing this YouTube live today and we're teaching you a little bit about cannabis funding for a cannabis industry, certainly do your research. Go to Google. It's easy to look at. Just search cannabis business funding, and you'll find even more. But these were the top 4, the ones we found were the most successful in funding the cannabis industry. And certainly we have other options. Like I said, if you go to creditsuite.com/get funding, you will find many more options here. So you can easily and quickly get financing, get access to every legitimate funding program all in one place. That's kind of our little pitch at the end. You pay us no fees ever, by the way. If you send your request for funding into us, we have the resources to get you what you need, and we don't charge a penny for what we do, ever. You can use our loan volume to get lower rates and fees. So you can go directly to a lender, and let's say you got a 14%. You may find you get it from the same lender with us at 12% because of our volume. Keep in mind, we're doing hundreds and hundreds of loans every single week. We probably get 1,000 applications a week here. So give us a call or go to creditsuite.com/get funding. Our business blueprint, if you follow our business blueprint, you can graduate this to an SBA loan. Never have to look for funding again. Again, creditsuite.com/get funding. If you need to contact us for more information, it's 877-600-2487. That's 877-600-2487. You can also go to info@creditsuite.com. And I apologize, guys. This is typically a 1-hour broadcast, and somehow I got finished in an hour and a half. I was learning right along with you. I loved it. I hope you got a lot out of this today. Again, if you have any questions, you can certainly go to info@creditsuite.com or reach out to us, 877-600-2487. Go to our website at creditsuite.com. All the information you need is right there. I'm really thankful to have you guys on there. I hope you all have a great day. Bye-bye.